let's bring it home a bit and come to the conflict, therefore, right now in these next 24 hours. It's on right now between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans, or there's a significant section of the Republicans, urging real spending cuts. When do we reach the point in Australia where someone will talk about debt and balancing the books? I mean, Australians forget, don't they, Dave Sharma, there was no debt ceiling when Costello was Treasurer. There was no debt ceiling. There was no debt. This was introduced by Rudd and Swan in 2007, $75 billion. And they said, hang on, just give us the 75, we won't spend it all. Well, the coalition supported the legislation. Rudd spent the $75 billion. So in 2009, Labor increased the debt ceiling to $200 billion to borrow enough money to cover ridiculous spending proposals, and they spent it. And in 2011, they raised the debt limit to $250 billion. In 2012, Labor raised it to $300 billion. And in 2013, when a Liberal government came in, having inherited a stack of spending that they can't get rid of, Bowen, the architect of the mess, the same bloke now piling an energy catastrophe onto us, said, $400 billion. Joe Hockey wanted $500 billion. The Greens said, forget it, no limit. So, Dave Sharma, a debt ceiling is meant to remind politicians of the consequences of borrowing and spending. But does anyone care?
Well, they should care in Australia because we're in a different position to the United States. I mean, I think the US level of indebtedness is of a concern, but the truth is that there will always be buyers of US Treasury bonds. They can quite easily finance their debt. A country like Australia, if our debt levels reach too high, not only do our debt servicing costs go up and consume a growing amount of our tax revenue, taking money away from other potential spending avenues, but it may become harder to borrow on international capital markets. Yes. And Australia has always, throughout our history, relied upon foreign capital to develop, to build infrastructure, yes, to finance, to farm. And so our access to foreign capital is incredibly important. And, I mean, when we went through the, so-called banana republic crisis, when Paul Keating was Treasurer in 1985, 1986, he was warning about the unsustainable levels of our current account deficit and hence the growth in our foreign debt, posing a risk to Australia's freedom and sovereignty. And if we don't get control of our own debt here, we will face the same potential challenges that Keating reminded himself and highlighted almost 3 decades ago.
Yeah, well, the point is, of course, this bloke who could contribute, the electorate then says, we want someone else. It's just unbelievable. We've got ourselves to blame for this. See, Dave Sharma, the equation's simple, isn't it? If you limit the borrowing, you have to limit the spending, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the only way you square it away is either you limit the spending or you raise the taxation.
Yes.
The 2 ways you get the budget back into balance. I mean, this government, the Labor government, has not honoured the ceiling we put on revenue collection or, revenue as a percentage of GDP. They've overridden that. But ultimately, something will have to give here. Either debt will increase, taxes will have to go up, or spending will cut. There's no way out of this trilemma.
Absolutely.
One of those things.
Just back to America, a quick one on America again. This was about the debt ceiling because of the Quad. I think also because of the incompetence and incoherence of Biden. This has become a world story now. Has damage been done to the credibility of America and to whatever credibility Biden has left? I mean, is America being damaged? Does the debate play into this global narrative, as you made this point, promoted by China? Hang on, America has a dysfunctional and broken political system and can no longer be entrusted with the privilege of global leadership. Is that a consequence of this international attention on the debt ceiling?
It is. I think it does. It is damaging. It does illustrate the polarisation of the US political system. It takes up a huge amount of attention and bandwidth. I mean, not only did Biden have to cancel the Quad, but it's all the White House and the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives has been focused on the last few weeks. And of course, provided a deal has been reached and gets through the Congress, it buys us 2 years when we'll have to go through this whole theatrical production yet again. I think it is damaging. I'd like to see a long-term resolution reached. That might be a heroic hope, where the US has put on a long-term path towards budget sustainability without having to raise the debt ceiling every 2 years, but whilst making sure that spending is found, there's a way found for spending.
Oh, yes, there has to be.